This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back the awesome Michele Mais, who I had on a couple years ago at Christmas time. In fact, yesterday was the 2-year anniversary. I had her on December 5th, 2021. And today we are going to nerd out on the entertainment of our youth. You know, movies, television, music, theater, and so forth. And we're going to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Trading Places. You know, she played one of the hookers in that movie. And it's going to be another great conversation today. I love talking to Michele. I just love her energy. She is just so awesome. Such an accomplished stage actress. And just actress in general in New York. And I can't wait to talk to her again. Also, I wanted to address this. Yesterday when Rhonda Wong was on, she mentioned movies that her IMDb doesn't mention. And we talked later in DM, and I went through her pictures and saw on still set pictures of her in Brewster's Millions. I was like, Brewster's Millions is one of my favorite movies. I can't believe we didn't talk about it. Well, she also told me in DM that Richard Pryor gave her a small part in JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling. And I said, okay, will you come back on next year and we'll talk about Richard Pryor? And she's like, yes, absolutely. So she will be back on next year to talk about the movies that she made with Richard Pryor. And I am excited about that. So yeah, here is my new interview with Michele Mais. So, do you remember the first movie that impacted you?
Well, you know what really, the very first movie that impacted me was let's see, so many. I remember when I was I believe I was like in ninth grade, saw Romeo and Juliet, the Zeffirelli production, with Olivia Hussey, and I saw that it was at the Paris Theater here in New York, and I think I literally saw it 12 times. I kept going back to see it. I just loved that whole film, the colors, the splendor, the language, everything. I just fell in love with it. But I guess the very first movie I really was freaked out about was The Miracle Worker. Oh. And I saw that as a little girl, and I remember my parents had a TV in the living room, and it was on late at night, and I crawled down the hallway and I lay belly in the hallway and I watched it from the hallway, and I just was blown away by that movie and the performances, and I was pretty young, but I still kind of got what was going on, and I just never forgot that film.
I love that movie. It's such a beautiful movie, and it still holds up.
And do you remember, and I don't know, are you from New York?
No, California.
Well, in New York, there was a thing on Channel 9. It was the $1 Million Movie.
Yes.
And it was on every night, the entire week. It was on every single night. And I remember watching David and Lisa with Keir Delay.
Oh, yeah.
And I could recite the film by Friday. I knew almost all the dialogue in the film. And my mother walked in, and she heard me saying the words with the movie, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just saying the words." And she said, "Well, how do you know them?" And I said, "Well, it's been on 5 times." I watched it 5 times. But she was impressed. I guess I'd never had a problem learning lines and stuff like that. But it was, and the boy with the green hair or something, I don't know. There were just a bunch of interesting movies.
That was Dean Stockwell. I grew up in the era, of cable and VHS and stuff, and the first movie my parents showed me was the Cannonball Run with Burt Reynolds, and then The Shining, and that movie scared the shit out of me. I didn't see it again until I was 7, and I fell in love with it right after. But yeah, you don't show that movie to a 1-year-old, It's just, it's too much.
That is my cousin took me to see Psycho when I was a kid, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I was like a little nervous about the shower for a while there. But yeah, it's amazing what the impact that films can make on you. That you don't even realize sometimes, but they just. I remember after seeing The Birds for a little while, I was like very suspicious of pigeons.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then like the first movie that truly impacted me was Back to the Future, because I've always had that fantasy about going back in time and seeing my parents in high school. It's a very relatable movie on that level. I think that's why it's such an iconic movie, and yeah, I mean that's one of my favorite movies. It's probably my favorite movie of all time. And what genre did you gravitate toward the most growing up?
Well, I liked musicals. I mean, I liked records. I liked musical records. Like I would get like the record of The Music Man, or I'd get the record of West Side Story, or I'd get the record of My Fair Lady, and I would learn all the songs off of those records. And so I liked musicals, but I also liked drama, and not so much like slashy horror, but like psychologically spellbinding movies are cool to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love all horror. But yeah, comedy was like my first genre that I gravitated toward the most growing up, because it started with Cannonball Run, and then as I got older, I got into Animal House and all the Eddie Murphy movies, and I love comedies from your childhood, like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, and all the Pink Panther movies, and remember What's Up, Doc?
Sure, and there used to be at Radio City Music Hall, there used to be a movie, and then you'd have the Rockettes, and so I remember seeing that movie with Audrey Hepburn, How to Steal a Million.
Oh, yeah.
With Audrey Hepburn. I saw that, and I saw Charades.
Oh, yeah.
And, that was a wild day, because you went and saw a film, and then you got to see a whole big show, and then... and sometimes I stayed for the movie, a part of the movie again. I can watch things over and over again and listen to things over and over. It can make friends of mine very crazy, but it doesn't get old to me, So
absolutely, yeah. And New York too had all these movie theaters that had previously been theatrical theaters, and like I've been hearing, they've been closing little by little the last 20 years.
Yeah, sadly. I got to say, you put that like teaser in about our podcast about today about and Trading Places being 40 years old. And to be honest, that was like shocking to me. I didn't realize that at all. And when you said it, I was like, no. And then I thought, oh yeah, it is. And I just kind of shared it on Facebook, and all of these people wrote on my wall, we love that movie, and they've seen it like so many times, and it was just a great way to wake up this morning and see all those fabulous things being said about it. So thank you so much for helping me get that good old morning joy today. That was lovely. It really was. And I remember I went to a little town, and they only had like one movie theater in the town, and they were playing Trading Places. And that whole weekend, I was like the celebrity of the island. It was just great. It was the best weekend ever. So that was fun. So it's a great movie. I think it's pretty funny, and I think it holds up pretty well,
Oh yeah, it is just hilarious, laugh out loud. I watched it the other night, and it still holds up. Yeah, I just remember there was a period where it was only being shown on Showtime because Paramount had their first run contract with Showtime. We didn't have Showtime until 1990, and so like around '88, HBO started showing it after the first run contract was over, and that's when I first started seeing it, and I was just loving just how hilarious it was, and. Man, there was a lot of stuff in there I shouldn't have been seeing, but I did it, My parents were very open,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I don't know. It's all in such good fun. I don't know. I mean, it's a little racy, but
Yeah.
uh, um, I'm so happy Jamie Lee Curtis is in that, and then she continues to be fantastic all her career, and
She got an
so it's.
Oscar. I'm so surprised too.
I thought she was great in that part in that film. I thought it was great, and she's been working out here a long time, and so I think it's wonderful. So,
Oh yeah.
um,
Um, do you have any favorite Christmas movies?
um, hmm, Christmas movies. Well, I love It's a Wonderful Life. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
Buffalo come out tonight. I'm just a sucker for that film, and every time a bell rings, an angel gets a dream. So I just I don't. And I love Mr. Magoo's Scrooge. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, I actually saw it last year for the first time in years because I think it was the 60th anniversary.
60. Oh my God. Yeah, I remember. Who was in it? Jack Cassidy was in it, and all these great performers were doing the voices, and
Jim Backus.
I just well, but I mean, I love the score too. I loved that one, and they stopped playing it used to have it on TV when I was a kid, and then I noticed they wouldn't play it anymore. And I remember saying, "What happened to Mr. Magoo?" And and I finally bought a copy of one, but it was a VHS, so I don't know how I'm going to ever play it, but hopefully you'll be able to stream it somewhere.
Well, the major networks stopped playing the Charlie Brown specials, so then they sold it to PBS. They showed it for 2 seasons, and I guess it didn't get high enough ratings, so now it's just on streaming, and I think that's so, so sad.
Yeah, that's an ultimate favorite one of Charlie Brown Christmas. That's a great show. I mean, I don't know. I think, I'm pretty much a sucker. I enjoy a lot of things. I mean, it takes something, and I don't know. I guess because I've done some shows that have not been successful, and I remember I walked into a casting call, and the director was looking at my resume,
Mm-hmm.
and I did flops on Broadway, and he said, "Oh, you like to do? You got a lot of failures on here, a lot of flops." And I just remember thinking, nobody intends for something to be a flop. We're all
Yeah.
working really. Everybody's got their game on. Everybody's trying the best they can. Everybody believes in it. You have an ugly baby, you think it's gorgeous. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so I was extremely hurt by that. I remember thinking that this is not probably somebody I'd like to work with. There's going to be a great experience with this guy. So, but I just remember feeling like, I think things sometimes are at the wrong time that they come out. Maybe people aren't open to them yet, and things like
Yeah.
that. I think stuff happens. You just got to kind of roll with it. But I don't know.
I gotta tell you, as much as I like It's a Wonderful Life, my favorite Christmas movie is Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah, that's a good one too. It's a good one too.
Yeah.
I mean, and I also love The Christmas Story.
Oh,
I think I mean, you can. What is it? You can punch your eye out.
yeah, you'll shoot
You'll
your
shoot-
eye out.
But when they play it 24 hours, that's almost a little too much for even me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I've interviewed several people from the cast, and it boggles their mind why TNT would play it, for 24 straight hours, but they appreciate the residuals they get from it.
Yeah, I can appreciate it. I still get nice residuals from Trading Places, I have to say. 40 years later.
I'm sure it plays a lot.
I'm very, and it was like before they changed the residuals after that. So now I'm getting things sometimes for like 13 cents, but at that time it was a nice residual setup. So I felt very lucky. So, but it also, remember that movie for years. I mean, that was like 40 years, and I still people stop me in the street and ask me if was I in Trading Places and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Yeah. Do you have any like comfort movies that you can go back to over and over again?
Um, there's certain ones I really like. I love the Fugitive movie.
Uh huh.
Um, if I'm like going through channels and I hit it on it, then I end up watching it. I just watch it, and I don't know. I I love TV and I love film. I just think it's so great that we can see these stories and you can look at performances. You know, I was just seeing on Facebook today. Also, it was Julie Harris's birthday, and she's been I'm a very huge fan of hers. I think she's like so brilliant, and I had the amazing opportunity of her coming to see me do a show in LA on the last, and she came up to me and she put her arms around me and she just said I brought her to tears, and she was so kind and appreciative, and I was so blown away that she was saying all these things to me. You know, I wanted to be babbling to her, and somebody took a picture of it. I'm not, my face isn't showing. It's her face holding my face, talking to me, and it was like one of the best moments in my entire life. And so happy birthday, Miss Harris! Thank you so much. So that was cool. That was cool. And I love East of Eden, and I love Into the Wedding, and I just think she's unbelievably talented and great.
Yeah, I mean, I can watch so many movies and they never get old for me. Animal House, Breakfast Club, Raising Arizona, The Philadelphia Story, Enter the Dragon, etc. Just, you know, I'm a cinephile. I love movies.
Oh, it's awesome that you can now just kind of get them now. If you can, like, you know, you may have to pay for them, but you can find them most of the time, and that's kind of cool, you know, that they're kind of at call now. That's awesome, I think.
Absolutely. So, what is the rundown of like all your favorite musicals?
Well, you know, I was somebody was asking me, you know, I wanted three things in my, like, when I was younger. I thought I want these three things, and I'll know I this is my bucket list.
Yeah.
I wanted to I worked with a woman named Georgia Brown, who's an amazing British actress who created the role of Nancy in Oliver.
Uh-huh.
And I got to do a show called Rosa with her that Hal Prince directed. That was like in the mid '80s, and I just thought it was so cool that she created a character that lives on, and, you know, has been done by so many people. And I said I would love to create a character in a new theater piece, and I got to do Justice Charlier in Rock of Ages, which is pretty cool. And so I got that one, and I always wanted a Hirschfeld. That was like a drawing by the artist Hirschfeld, and I got one. And I always wanted to be on a billboard. And when I was doing Dick Clark's American Bandstand in Lake Tahoe, I had a giant, you know, billboard. So those are the three things that I wanted, and it worked out. So now I have to get my other three things going. But I loved Oliver, West Side Story. I love a show called Celebration. That's not that well known. I love my show, The Last Session. That's one of my favorite musicals. Let's see, what else? I know every single word of The Music Man. I know it's crazy. I listen to that record so often, then I just learned, you know, cash for the merchandise. And a friend of mine was doing a show where he did the song, and the entire audience was singing with him. It was wild. I mean, everybody knew the lyrics. It was like they paid us all to learn it and come in. It was just like the whole room was rocking. It was great. I love Hair. I love Godspell. This is speaking of anniversaries, this year is my 50th anniversary of getting my very first professional show ever, which is in '70. I got a national tour of Godspell. And so I had like an anniversary, this summer, because we all signed the contracts in August of '73, and a lot of the people are still my best friends from back then. We're still some people I hadn't seen since the '70s, and it was great when we got together. But it was wild, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. And of course, we all look a lot older, but in our hearts of hearts and in our heads, we're the same, are very similar. And as fun, and it was just great to see everybody. So, that was a great show. That Godspell was a great show. I don't know. I rarely. I mean, there's no shows that I really hate. I hate that show. I always appreciate something about it. I think the writing or the music or some of the characters. I mean, I just think there's something interesting and amazing in everything. Whether it be considered a success or not. I think there's a lot of heart that goes into creating a project, and I think that needs to be coached. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love The Sound of Music, My Fair Lady, Grease, Jesus Christ Superstar. I love non-Broadway musical movies like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Pete's Dragon, The Blues Brothers. I even consider The Blues Brothers a musical. It kind of is. You can tell I love John Landis movies. Yeah, I love musicals like that. There's nothing like the magic of a musical, I think.
I agree, and it's I don't know. There's something about. Well, I mean, I guess I've never done a musical on film, but there's something about being in the audience and seeing an audience and having them hear and you hear them the reaction back. I mean, that's the great thing about theater. You get some response right there, and they are indeed a part of the whole experience. It's not like it's such a great sounding board to be able to play opposite of. So I love musicals. I do, I mean, it's so amazing that I remember when I used to go to the movies and they were trying to do these petitions not to allow cable. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Not allowed, because they were freaking out that if people could see movies at their houses, they wouldn't come to the movie theaters anymore.
Yeah.
And but there's a list for everybody, so it's out pretty well.
Yeah. Do you remember the first pop or rock album that you bought with your own money?
I think it was Godspell. Although, I mean, my poor dad, I remember there was a movie called Babes in Toyland with Annette Funicello.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a little kid, and I made him play the record with me over and over to write down the lyrics of this song. And my mother's like, let your dad rest. And I was like, and we was slowly, he sank into the sea. And he's writing them down, and I'm we put the needle back on the record, and we play it again, and we put it back on the, and so we got the whole song down. And but that was my very favorite, Babes in Toyland. That was a big one in my childhood.
I love that story. I grew up on the 1986 version with Jill Sholin and Keanu Reeves and Pat Morita and Richard Mulligan. Great cast. It was on NBC, and I still watch that year after year. I have the short version of it on home video. My dad had a huge collection of vinyl records when I was a kid, and he had Rod Stewart, Rolling Stones, Fleetwood Mac, the Beatles, lots of great classic rock stuff, How about comedy records? Did you have those?
I love the Elaine May, and the Elaine May.
Oh yeah, Elaine May and Mike Nichols.
Nichols, yeah. I loved her operator.
Yeah.
They were great. I remember I used to love Laugh-In. I lived across the street from where George Carlin lived with his mom.
Oh.
And she would go into Columbia Records and, say, Georgie's got a record. And And so we were listening to those records for sure. And who else? I guess Bill Cosby, years ago. And I don't know, a lot of, and well, Richard Pryor, the best ever.
Oh yeah.
Best ever. And Chris Rock. Chris Rock's cool. So I mean, I think we really do have an enormous amount of choices to make to be entertained, and it's quite amazing when you think about it. That anything you're kind of in the mood for, you can find something that'll make you happy. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the first comedy record I can remember hearing my mom had on vinyl, Lily Tomlin's "This Is a Recording," where she's the operator, which is just another extension of Nichols and May and Bob Newhart and Shelley Berman. They were all doing telephone bits, back in the day. But I remember hearing it and just cracking up hysterically because the way she does that snort after everything she says, and she calls up Joan Crawford and says, "Hello, Joan Crawford. Yes, the Coca-Cola Company wants to speak with you."
She was funny. She is funny. She's still funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, she's hilarious. Do you remember the first concert you ever went to?
I know the first one that I ever I went to Sly and the Family Stone to see and they were late, but we all waited, and he finally showed up and he rocked the house. Everybody was glad they stayed. I love Earth, Wind and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to Steely Dan whenever they're playing the Beacon Theater here in New York. Who else? I got when I was. I'm friends with Smith. He plays keyboards for Tower of Power.
Oh yeah.
When I was in Lake Tahoe, he used to play a lot, and so talented. What a talented man! And I don't. I saw a farewell tour of Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I was in shock because he started. You remember that song "Pooh Corner"?
Yeah.
Pooh Corner. They started playing the opening chords of it, and I burst into tears. And I didn't even know. I mean, it just hit me. I didn't even know I even knew that song really. And he started, and I just started to cry. And I guess it was just connected to some place, And it was very emotional, and it was so unexpected. But music and films and all those things are so connected to our hearts that we don't even realize it until we hear or see it. You know what I mean? That all of a sudden, when you first saw it, or who you saw it with, or who you were with when you heard that song, or whatever. It just brings the memory back so strongly that it's I don't know. It's almost like an album of feelings. Those things, you can those memories so ardently. It's great.
Yeah, Tower of Power. I'm from the Bay Area, so I used to see Tower of Power every year at our county fair play, and I remember one of the first rock concerts I went to at our county fair was Steppenwolf when I was 15, and John Kay was the only original member of the band, and I could tell by seeing all the 40 and 50-year-olds there, the magic was gone because it wasn't the original lineup, but I enjoyed it just because my dad used to play their albums when I was a kid, and the first legit concert I went to when I was 17 was Alice Cooper, and he was great. He did like maybe one or two songs from every album he ever recorded, except for those ones where he was, strung out on drugs back in the early 80s. But it was a great, great show. Alice Cooper is a true showman.
I've never seen him in concert, but I've heard really good things about him. I mean, I know I've seen him on television and stuff, but I hear he gives a great stage show. Yeah, for sure.
He's
Yeah.
great. He's great. I tell anybody, go see him. I mean, he's still got it. I mean, his voice is starting to slow down now that he's 75, but, he still got it on stage. He becomes that character the moment that the curtain goes up.
Wow.
So
That's
going back
fantastic.
to Trading Places for a little bit, I'm curious when you were doing, the party scene and stuff, and the bar scene and everything, right? The other hooker, Barra Khan. Do you remember anything working with her?
Just that, just that she was sitting on a stool behind me, and that I met her, we talked and everything. She was cool. I haven't seen her in years and years.
Yeah, I tried to get her on, and she's like one of those, kind of new agey spiritual gurus now, who's preaching positivity now, and she like doesn't want to talk about it, which is sad because that's one of the most memorable scenes of the movie when Eddie Murphy goes into the bedroom and she's naked, and she says, "I've been waiting for you, Billy Ray," you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean. That just that whole movie holds up, and the great Denholm Elliott, playing that butler. Do you remember anything about him?
I didn't. I just thought he was great. He's so dry, and
Yeah,
he would. You know, but I remember Bill Cobbs. Bill Cobbs.
yeah,
He was
the
the.
bartender.
We had a lot of fun. Me and Bill had a lot of fun because we were in that bar quite a long time, and we did a bunch of different takes, and it was so funny because I was right on Eddie's shoulder. I thought I was like in the shot the whole time. And when I see the movie, I'm totally not in the shot, and I'm thinking, I'm acting my butt off, but it was so funny. But and my friend Ron, that was kind of the one of the guys that said,
Ron
you
Taylor.
know, Ron Taylor. We sadly passed away, but
Yeah,
he originated the voice of the plant in Little Shop.
and he
And
was the voice of Bleeding Gums Murphy on The Simpsons.
right, so we had fun. We had fun there doing that, and Bill Cobb's is very, very, very funny, and it was we were drinking seltzer for a while, but I think a little champagne slipped in there at one point, maybe a couple of glasses, if I remember correctly. But that was a fun scene, and it's so funny in the house when we were at the party.
Mm,
There was actually music at the time,
yeah,
that had somebody clapping, so we were all kind of together. But it's so wild when you get to see everything put together, and it all came together so well. But it was totally silent when we were all dancing around,
yeah.
and
You're
so
you're the only
so
one who didn't get naked.
yeah, it's true. I saw our director. He said, "Would you mind taking off?" And I said, "Well," I said, "if you'll write me a monologue."
They should have. That would have been great.
um, but I don't know. It was pretty fun. It was a pretty fun movie, I have to say. It
Yeah,
was a
Bill Cobbs. I remember my dad took me to see that Tom Hanks movie, That Thing You Do, and Bill Cobbs plays the jazz man who influenced the drummer in the band. And I remember we watched the movie and we thought he was great. We're like, we've seen that guy before in other stuff. And then the next time we watched Trading Places, we were like, hey, look, it's that jazz man, Del Paxton.
exactly. Such a good, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, so since the last time we talked, have you done another Evil Bong movie?
I did. They keep saying that it's the last one. I don't know, Charlie. I keep saying Charlie.
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I hope not. I think they're crazy and fun. So I enjoyed. But during the last one, because of the pandemic, I recorded a lot of the stuff in my little studio here,
Hmm.
and so and then sent it to them, and because nobody was flying and nobody was schlepping, and
Yeah.
everybody staying separate. So, but we still got it happening. So that was cool.
Yeah, the most recent one you did, I see on IMDb, Sonny Davis is in it. I had him on a couple of years ago. He's a very nice, well spoken Southern gentleman, but has very little to say.
Yeah, that's funny.
He is a part of Texas history, though. I mean, he was in a comedy rock group in Texas in the '70s, and he knew the Vaughn brothers, Stevie Ray and Jimmy Vaughn, and he knew the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guys, but he didn't work with them until the '80s and stuff. And I was like, wow, you could have been in Texas Chainsaw Massacre if you had been acting at that point, Yeah. So I know it's like post, SAG-AFTRA strike, but do you have anything upcoming or anything you're working on?
Um, I do, but I don't want to talk about it, Tommy. But if it comes to fruition, I'll definitely let you know, and I'd love you to see it and tell me what you think. So can I put a little placeholder in that for that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Um,
I didn't say one thing though I forgot to mention. I got to the great opportunity of working with Grace Jones on a project,
ooh,
and I just saw her perform this year in New York, and she was fantastic. She hula hooped for like 4 minutes in 7-inch heels, and didn't miss a beat, and sang and kept hula hooping the whole time. I was very impressed, and she's quite amazing. Oh, Grace. So that's a definitely I enjoyed working with and watching always.
yeah, I was wondering, recently what she's been doing. I haven't seen her do anything in quite a long while.
But she opened up the Blue Note jazz concert series this season in New York. So I guess that's what she's doing, and maybe she's traveling with that.
Nice, nice. You're excited for Christmas?
Yeah, I am. Christmas. My father died on Christmas when I was a kid, so it's always
Oh,
got that bittersweet vibe. But you know, I'm alive, and friends are alive, and we're hanging tough, and things are moving forward. So I think it's a good time to celebrate and have a good holiday. So I am looking forward to it. Yes, for sure.
the the closest I've ever come to losing a family member on Christmas is Dean Martin. My whole family loved Dean Martin, and I was 12 when he died on Christmas in 1995, and that was just one of the most devastating blows that we had ever gone through.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when people die on holidays because it just sort of this makes it a little sad. But you also have to remember the glorious times, and I mean, um, and and just celebrate life as you can. Let's all try and be as positive and happy and moving forward as we can be. Hopefully.
Yes, and your health is good as well.
I am knocking on wood. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a little something happening right now, but I think it's all going to be okay.
That's
Nothing
good.
too, just a little mobility issue. So we're working on that. But
Because I remember the first time we talked, you mentioned what you had survived and everything, and I just thought that was so courageous.
oh, thank you, Tommy. Well, I'm so glad. That's why. I mean, I try not to let the little things upset me too much because I mean it's great to have hassles. It's great to be alive and have something hassles to deal with. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean you could. So I'd rather be alive with some hassles than dead and worry free. So I just look at life in a whole different way. I think they're all like living in the bonus round and having a great time and just really enjoying people. I'm excited. I'm going to the opening night of Manhattan, and that show was done at my old theater, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and so it's debuting here in New York. So I'm going to go check out my friends in that, and I'm very excited to go see it. And life is good.
What's that play called again? I'm sorry.
Manhattan.
Mata Hada. Is that a
Manhattan.
newer? Is that a newer
Like
play?
Manhattan. Well, you go do a little research. You're pretty good at getting research, Manhattan. It's an amazing piece. It has to do with dealing with Native American
Okay.
situation, and as I said, it was done in Oregon a few years ago, and I'm excited to see what's. I think they worked on it a little bit since then as well. So we'll see how it is tonight. So
You're going tonight?
tonight, yeah, opening's night. So I'm
Wow.
excited.
That is so awesome. Real quick, we got to play my secret silly game. This is a series of silly slumber party questions. It's no win or lose, it's just pure fun. And how the game works is I ask you the question, you answer it, then you ask me that exact same question, and I answer it. And feel free to comment on the answers because they might be funny.
Okay.
Michelle, are you ticklish?
In certain places,
Yeah.
Tommy, are you ticklish?
Oh, yes. But if you tickle me without warning, though, I might hit you in the groin.
Uh-oh. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
It's an innie.
Nice.
How about you?
I also have an innie. What color are your toenails painted?
Turquoise.
Love it.
A bright, gorgeous turquoise. What about you, Tommy?
Right now they're not painted, but last time they were purple lavender.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think one should keep their toenails painted at all times. You never know when those feet are coming out, and it's always a nice surprise to see a splash of color on them.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of doing a red, green, and white for Christmas.
How about a little glitter? A little glitter goes a long way.
I love the look of the glitter. I just hate getting it off afterwards. It takes forever.
It is a bit of a hassle.
What would you say is your best personality trait?
Best personality trait. I guess I can kind of I can roll with the punches.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. And I like to laugh. I like to find the joy in things, even when they're crazily messed up. there's always something you can find that will bring a smile at some point, even in the worst moments of time. So I try to find that. What's yours?
Oh, good, good. I'll tell you some dirty Christmas jokes in a minute. I have empathy and I have no filter.
Okay, that'll do it. That'll do it.
If you could have anything named after you, what would it be?
Hmm. I'd love I'd love a fountain named after me.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you?
A vibrator.
Oh, go Tommy, go!
Yes.
Would it be or would it be
The Tommy Chatsy. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Is there a stupid smell that just makes me gag? Hmm. I really don't like the smell of blue cheese.
Oh, the worst.
I mean, I love, but for some reason, blue cheese and nope,
No.
nope, nope, nope. How about you?
Either farts or feet.
I have a new puppy,
Uh-huh.
and I take off my boots,
Yeah.
and my dog just goes crazy. And I'm thinking, why are you licking my feet? They've been in these socks and these shoes all day.
Yeah.
They feel like they must be the worst. But he just thinks he just loves to lick and kiss them, and I don't know. I hope it doesn't knock him out anytime soon. But I keep thinking I'll take him to the hospital go to the vet if he might keel over one day. But he just looks up at me, and then I give him a treat, and he has a treat, and the next thing you know, he's back with my feet. So
maybe he's into kink and fetish.
That's it.
Okay,
You're
dirty.
talking about me?
Okay, dirty Christmas jokes. Okay, why did Frosty the Snowman have a smile on his face?
Why?
He saw the snowblower.
Nice, nice.
Why are
Okay.
why are Christmas trees better than men?
Hmm. Why?
Even the smaller ones give satisfaction.
Oh, Tommy, Tommy. Okay, give
All
me one more.
right, here's a non-Christmas joke.
Okay.
What do you call a boy that doesn't masturbate?
I don't know.
A liar.
That was pretty good. Pretty good one. All right, I'll give you that one, Tommy.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. And thank you so much for coming back on and having this great conversation. Yeah, let me know when that new project comes out because we'll talk about that.
I will, and you're great to talk with, and
Oh,
I think that's one of your best qualities is that you have such a freeness with speaking with people. It's awesome. So
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. And you have yourself a Merry Christmas and be safe out there.
Thank you so much. You too, and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye bye, Michelle. Well, there you have it. Michelle Mais. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, wow, she's got a great laugh. I love her laugh so much, and I love talking to her, and that meant a lot to me, that compliment she gave me there at the end. I'm so friggin' blessed. I really, really am. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.